Oh, good.
We're going chasing.
Hello there, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Hello, now, and welcome to...
We're going chasing.
Now, we have a lot on the agenda, lads, so we'll cut the chase and get straight down to the business.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of We're Going Chasing. It's the morning of the 26th here, Stevens' Day morning, or Boxing Day morning if you're over in the UK. But we're recording our preview now for the 28th, so we don't know really how we've gone so far, Cillian. It's a bit up in the air, but we'll soon find out. I'm looking forward now to racing getting going. But we've got Leopardstown and Limerick on the 28th that we're going to look at. Before we get into that, Cillian, how was your Christmas day?
Good, yeah. Nice and relaxed. So that was good, yeah. The dinner was good, yeah.
Good man. Mary did up a good spread.
She did, yeah. Very good, in fairness. So.
Savage.
Yeah,
Makes a big difference, really.
How'd you get on?
Yeah, great. Yeah. You know, the dinner can make or break the day.
Yeah, it's your birthday. It was your birthday as well.
It was, yeah. It was my birthday.
Double.
Yeah, a double whammy. But no, had a good day now. The turkey was lovely actually, because sometimes the turkey can nearly be too dry, you know, because turkey can be dry. But whatever way Ma'am did it now there this year, she did a lovely job on it.
That's the job, yeah. You don't want dry turkey on the Christmas/birthday.
No, certainly not. Whatever about Christmas, not on the birthday.
Fair enough.
But right, we'll get into racing on the 28th, and we're going to start off looking at the Jack the Bromhead Christmas Hurdle. Quite a nice field is turning up to it. If this opens up here for me now, a Home by the Lee is favourite 6-4, Irish Point 7-4, Asterian Furlange, Buddy One, Ballyadam, and Beacon Edge a bit further down in the betting. I know you quite like Irish Point, and I know I've been speaking about Home by the Lee for a fair while now, and I'm quite keen on him. I'll take Home by the Lee first. I think just this race is that horse's Gold Cup, essentially. I think this is the main target for him throughout the course of the year. He obviously won it last year, beating Ashdale Bob by 3 lengths. He also won at Navan in the Lismullen prior to that. But he had a more difficult job in the Lismullen this year. He had to give it a lump of weight, £9 to Bob Ollinger and to Zanahiyr. He had to do all the donkey work out in front, and he was still only bet 5 lengths in the finish. I think he lost nothing in defeat there. I thought it was a quite impressive run, and it's going to leave him spot on for this. Also, that was over a shorter trip, about 2.5 miles. This is his game, 2 miles, 7.5, essentially 3 miles. And I just think that he's spot on now for this. I don't know how you feel. I'd say you're quite keen on Irish Point anyway, are you?
Yeah, it's a match. Like, unfortunately for the other 4 in the race, they're playing for third. Asterian Furlange, number 1, he's probably going the wrong way around. And number 2, he's just not up to this level against likes of Home by the Irish Point. I'd fancy Buddy One in it if he hadn't ran in the Hatton's Grace. I think that was a poor run coming off the back of a really good win in Cheltenham. If he got a break and went to this, you'd be sort of saying, geez, this lad could turn up his rate 152 and he could give them a rattle. Ballyadam won't stay, Beacon Edge not at this level, so that leaves the 2. I just think Irish Point, that unexposed profile, stepping up to 3 miles for the first time. Like, there was an awful lot to like about what he did in Down Royal, given a lump to Magical Zoe. Like, he gave her £13 on the day, and over a trip that was too short, and still ended up beating her. So that brought him up to 152. That was more than likely a career best as well. So he's going the right way. He showed in Aintree when he won over 2.5 miles that, like, he wasn't stopping at the line, so that'll tell you he's going up to 3. It'll be no problem for him. And you'd imagine, like, Home by the Lee, I know he's the defending champion, but like, he's still an 8-year-old. He's had a lot of runs under the belt, and like, I get the fact that he probably is geared for this race, but I just think Irish Point could be just a cut above him, to be honest.
Okay, yeah, that's fair enough. I won't argue with you on it. Irish Point is a nice horse too, but I just do think that everything is going to fall into place for Home by the Lee, to be honest with you. We've got the Grade 1 Savills Chase then at 25 past 2, and it's one of the best renewals in a long time. Looking at it there, Galloping the Shams, Fast or Slow, Jerry Calam, Conflated, Envoy Allen, A Pluthard, Appreciated, even keep on going down. I Am Maximus there at 16 to 1. You couldn't discount him, Appreciated. It just really is a cracking race, to be honest. I think if you're looking at the top of the betting, first of all, I think Galopin Des Champs is a very poor price, and I definitely expect him to drift. Like he's been bet the last twice now by Fast or Slow. And based off that, I'd have Fast or Slow shorter than him in the betting. To be honest with you. So that's one thing, I suppose. And there's just so many options to take on the favourite with there, and legitimate options. I could definitely see him going off. He's 15 to 8 there now. I'd say 5 to 2, 11 to 4. I don't know how you feel about that, Cillian, or where your eye is drawn to in the race, but there's loads of options there to choose from.
Yeah, there is. I think it's an unreal race. There's 11 in it, and 8 of the 11 are rated above 160. And then the other two, Capodanno and I Am Maximus, are 158. And like I Am Maximus could definitely be better than 158, whatever about Capodanno. That just left Churchstone Warrior then with the one that's got a lot to find. But yeah, it's a savage race. Like you've the horses like Appreciated there could step forward again on what he did in the John Durkin, and he's a big price at 20 to 1. You've Conflated, who ran a really good race with Invialan and Jerry Colombe up in the north. So, and then you've the other two from the John Durkin, Galloping and Fast or Slow. So, it's an unreal renewal anyway, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I agree with you. Galloping is probably a bit short. Best priced 15 to 8, and I don't really want to find out if he's the same horse at that price. I think Fast or Slow at 3 to 1 is definitely a more of a betting proposition. And then Jerry Colombe, I suppose you did like to see probably the ground a bit softer for him, to have a really good chance. But I'd say he could still run well on yielding ground. I was sort of drawn to Pluthard a small bit. Like I you go back to his peak performance was in the Gold Cup 18 months ago, and like his best performance is closely matched with Gallopin's best performance. And if you were to forgive him last year, which is, I know it's a big feat, but like he actually wasn't going all, he was actually going all right in the Gold Cup until a horse fell in front of him. Was it, can't remember, was it a high senior fell in front of him, or sounds Russian, and he just ended up losing his sort of momentum there, and he was pulled up soon after it. But he actually was running an all right race at the time. He was jumping well and traveling well, and then whatever reason he just didn't perform over an entry. But I think off this sort of break, he is a good horse fresh. So like I give him a squeak at 16 to 1. But I'd love to see Jerry Colombe win it. He's an unbelievable horse, and I think it's a case of here, if Jerry Colombe can win a Savills Chase, he's a fucking shoe in a Gold Cup. Because the track in Leopardstown has no reason to suit him, as much as it would suit Galloping or Fast or Slow.
Yeah,
So like if Jerry can get the job done here in Leopardstown, he's going to be Gold Cup favorite. I think whoever wins this is probably going to end up being the Gold Cup favorite after the
yeah,
race, if it's Galloping, Fast or Slow, or Jerry. Um,
yeah.
and then I suppose it just depends what happens today in the King George. But yeah, I'd love to see Jerry win, but I'd give a tentative vote to a Pluthard at about 16 to 1 there each way, maybe.
I don't know. I think you've got a real thing for both a Pluthard and Minella, and it sort of clouds your judgment there at times a small bit. I think if a Pluthard was to go and win this, and while I do accept that, obviously things didn't go to plan last year and he could turn it
Well, he went
around,
to a Gold Cup off a pull
he's
up, like, so you
yeah, yeah,
write
but
off the season nearly, like.
he's still 9 rising 10, and if he goes and wins this, I think we've got a bit of a problem. Like when you've got horses like Jerry Colombe, up and coming horse like Jerry Colombe, Fast or Slow, Galloping obviously did it last year. Um, I don't know. I think it would be quite disappointing. But then again, if a Blue Tower brings his total A game, which is quite unlikely, he probably will be definitely thereabouts. Um, we've got a nice beginner's chase there too. A very small field. But and Willie Mullins dominated there, certainly at the top of the market. Fact to file with Mark Walsh on board, Minella Cocooner with Paul Townend on board, and then Zanahiyr thrown in for good measure as well by Gordon Elliott, with Jack Kennedy taking the ride there. Fact to file was quite impressive at Navan. I felt the last day, like considering that it was his first time jumping obstacles since his point to point, and he skipped hurdling and that, to be bet 3 lengths by American Mike, and the way that they pulled so far away from the field was impressive. Minella Cocooner off track for a year, but that form behind Classic Getaway has been given a great boost. Beaten 2 3/4 lengths by Classic Getaway, who went and won a Grade 1 this year.
Grade 2.
A Grade 2, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, it was indeed, yeah. So I don't know. I'd find it. I'd nearly wait and see what the market makes of him. But if you were getting a nice price there, Minella Cocooner, I wouldn't be put off by him, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm just delighted Zanahiyr is running this. I don't know if anyone saw. I was on the Only Fools Love Horses podcast there last week with Ash and Harry, and I put up Phil Dudery in the Madison Hurdle. The Betway were 3 places, and I thought there was only going to be 3 runners, and the only danger I saw was Zanahiyr running in it. So hopefully Gordon declares Phil Dudery now tomorrow. And
What price was Phil Dudery?
he was 100 to 1, and it was 3 places. So, and I reckon there'll only be 3 in it. So,
you could potentially have 100 to 1 just to trot around.
Declares them and just jump around and come in 50 lengths behind Stateman, and I get a 20 to 1 winner. But in terms of this race, like I sort of like Zanahiyr. Like he's a high class hurdle horse, and there's no reason he won't take defenses, and this trip should suit him. So around the 2.5 mile mark, I think Fact to File is probably going to want further. And then it's hard to trust Minella Cocooner off this sort of break. So again, I'd be sort of looking at what the prices come at, but I'd sort of be going with Zanahiyr, to be honest.
Would you? Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. That's quite interesting. That is interesting indeed. We've got the Protemps handicap hurdle qualifier then as well at 3 o'clock. Towards the top of the weights, you've got Farouk Delaine, Absolute Notions, Ambitious Fellow there a bit further down. Mouse Morris has a very strong hand in the field too, with Franciscan Rock, who was third in a Grade 1 last year over hurdles. There for a rating of 135, and then a bit further down, good old Foxy Jacks, out of a much lower hurdles rating, 123, and he's 147 over fences. Loves it around Leopardstown too. And now I know he's definitely a better horse over fences, but he's in great form, has been in great form for the last 12 months or so. Won last time out at Cheltenham over the cross country course. And like, again, it'd be interesting to see what price he turns out to be, but I would give him a fair shout, to be honest. You probably are keen on number 2.
Yeah, number 2, Absolute Notions. I suppose like I don't think it's any real like great claim to say that he could be ahead of his hurdle mark of 142, but like again, the Protemps qualifier, it's a weird system, isn't it? Like you don't want to win the race, the qualifier, but you need to be in the first 4. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he lands in that. Obviously Maxim absolutely hosed up in this last year for Gordon Elliott, and he was a real improving horse. So like you're sort of looking for a horse like that that's just constantly improving at their mark. And I sort of half agree with you with Foxy Jacks. I think like he's nearly a stone and 3/4 lower over hurdles, and like he wasn't a bad hurdle horse either. Like he'd some good form over it, and I think like he's well capable of running a big race off that kind of mark. And it's just a question of what is there an improver in the field that could beat him. And I sort of half like the look of Lucky Zebo. He was a horse for Henry de Bromhead. Rachel Takes the Ride, and like he'd gone and he'd sort of improved on his form there over the summer. won a handicap hurdle in Kilbeggan, won a handicap hurdle in Clonmel, went chasing, won there, and then went back to Goran Park and won another handicap hurdle in September. He hasn't tried out that 3 mile trip yet, and I think maybe stepping up to that might bring out another bit of improvement in him. But he'd gone from a mark of 95 over hurdles to 126 now, so it's sort of that same as Maxim last year. It's just one that just sort of keeps improving over hurdles, and maybe for win purposes, he might be one. But I
Yeah.
definitely think Absolute Notions is definitely a horse that should be, like, if he wasn't in the first four, it's sort of a failure, really, isn't it? Because
Mm.
like you're running a Protemps qualifier, and it's different if you're, let's say, a horse you see in England a lot, horses that are maybe looking have campaigns down the line over fences, and they just want to get into the Protemps and run it, or just have a run over hurdles. But like for a horse like him, it looks like it could be something that's been planned for him down the line. So Danny Gilligan taking off 5 as well, so he's running off 137. You'll be hoping he can hit the frame anyway and qualify for the race.
Yeah, another horse that I mentioned briefly when I was naming out a few, but that I would just like to give a nice mention to is Farouk Delen. He hasn't been seen over hurdles since he won a Grade 2 in Limerick on the same day back in 2020. Bet Vanillier that day is rated 145 and is a horse I really do like. Carl Miller takes off 7. So he'd have to have a very good chance there. Now, again, the ground would probably go against him a small bit. But he is a real stamina type of horse, and that trip 2 mile 7 will be right up his street too. So yeah, it's a wide open race, and it'll be interesting to see what the market makes of it. And I suppose it'd be easier to make a decision on it then. We'll move over to Limerick, Cillian, and we mentioned Fields Dudery and how he had identified him, and I have 100 to 1 basically if he's entered and probably finishes. Another that we thought could fall into a similar bracket was Lucid Dreams. He indeed was 100 to 1 as well, and we thought there might only be 4 or 5 runners in the Faheen Novices Chase. Now there is 5, and it's probably a bit classier of a field than what we would have initially thought. Illeta Toms was one that we wouldn't have expected to turn up for sure. Gaelic Warrior and American Mike were always turning up. Lucid Dreams is turning up, and then the other in there is I Know the Way You're Thinking. So if you're to collect on that one, Lucid Dreams, they probably have to beat Illeta Toms and I Know the Way You're Thinking. I'd say it might just be slightly beyond them, unfortunately.
Well, he'll beat I Know the Way You're Thinking, I'd say.
Mm.
Will he beat Ilate Tomps? I wouldn't think so. Could he beat American Mike? Yeah. Um, that's what I'd be looking at. I'd like, it's classic Willie Mullins, like Mind and Facile Vega again. Ilate Tomps is a 2 miler. He should be running over 2 miles. It's simple as that. He should be in
Mm.
the grade 1 in today and Stevens' day in Leopardstown.
You should, yeah, on that
Yeah.
ground. On that
And
ground, yeah.
yeah, so I just think I couldn't have seen him coming here. So
No.
when he wasn't declared, I presumed he just wasn't running at Christmas, but
Yeah.
here he rocks up. So
And he was
yeah,
so good.
it's going to
He
be a
was so
tough
good
task for Lucid
Leopardstown
Dreams.
last year too, like.
Yeah, that's it. Like, so
Mm.
yeah, it's just the mind and the facile Vega again. He's trying to split them all up, like, um and there it is. But yeah, I think Lucid Dreams, he's up with a big task. But Gaelic Warrior is going to win this, and he's win doing handstands, even though Patrick's riding him. It doesn't matter. Like he's by far the classiest horse in the race.
Yeah.
And he'll just bounce out and win. Ilite Toms follow him home then.
Yeah, agreed. The Tim Duggan Memorial Handicap Chase at 240 at Limerick. You have one you like here, Cillian?
Yeah, I do. Rian for Gordon Elliott. I think Keith Donoghue's down to ride there. He's run off a mark of 137. He's only had 3 runs over fences. He won a beginners down in Wexford. Got beaten in the stole when went back to 2 miles. Over in a novice chase at the festival, and then his last run was in Cork, where he's beaten 2 lengths by Percy Warner over 2 mile 5 on soft ground. I think that's sort of his trip. That 2 mile 5 trip. He got raised a pound for that for being beaten 2 lengths, but I think he's well capable of, and the ground in Limerick should suit as well, because he's probably a 3 miler realistically. And I think stepping up, sort of 2 mile, 3.5 furlongs in Limerick ends up being 2 3/4 miles. So I think that should be fine for him. And I'd say a mark of 137 is within him on what he's shown, especially how good he was the first day down in Wexford. He beat Wrexham and Percy Warner that day. Two nice horses. And even when he ran against Percy Warner the last day, he was giving him £8. So yeah, I think he's well capable of defying that mark.
Yeah, and one that I just give a brief mention to is Coccolino. I do think that this horse has some sort of a race in him, and I was just sort of waiting for the day now. To be honest, this could be the day for him. Ground and whatnot will be in his favour. He's had serious issues with injuries and that long layoffs off the track. This will be his first time getting 3 runs together ever, I think, looking at his form. So I'd be hoping that things would sort of fall into place for him. It was a very good run last time out, really, all things considered, off the back of a fall, being bet 5 lengths by Ida's Boy in a handicap, and just stepping back now to 2 mile 3 at Limerick. I'd be hoping that it could potentially be the day for him. But God knows when it's in those colours. The 12.55 at Limerick then is a great maiden hurdle, Cillian. You've got Walkaway Harry, built by Ballymore, and Cletus Poolah, who was second to Daddy Longlegs. We'll know a bit more about that form when we get to the 28, but that's a great little race.
Yeah, it is. I think like he ran in a bumper in Down Royal earlier in the season and got beat at odds on by an Owen McCarthy horse. But to me that day he looked like a 2.5 mile plus horse. They ran him against Daddy Longlegs over 2 miles in Thurles on nice ground, and sure it was never going to suit really. And yeah, he was beaten 13 lengths and well beaten, but stepping up and trip onto sort of worse ground up here in the north should be right up his street, or in Limerick, right up his street. And Keaton, who rides as well, so he's a nice jockey on board, and I think he should win this, to be honest.
Okay. Did you have anything else at Limerick or Leopardstown? Or was that it?
I'd one more in the 3:15. Shotgun Jack for Pat Kelly. He's a horse that only made his hurdles debut in August. In classic Pat Kelly fashion, he had 3 quick runs in maidens, entered in a handicap in Galway in October, finished 5th. End of October, then won a handicap hurdle off a mark of 85 by 13 lengths. Then last month in Limerick, over 2 mile 5 furlongs on heavy ground off a mark of 99, he won a handicap by 7 lengths really, really easily. He's up to a mark of 111 now, but I'd say, like, who knows where his bottom is at all. Like, Philip Donovan that rode him the last day is going to ride again. He takes off 5, so it's a nice boost. Yeah, I like he could easily be a good bit ahead of his mark of 111. So yeah, that's one I'd keep an eye on anyway.
Okay, well that wraps things up then for us on the 28. Before we finish up, do you have a best bet? Now I know we don't have a lot of prices, but if you were to pick out one horse, whether we have a price there or not, who would you go with?
Fuck it, put me on the spot.
I go first.
You can, yeah.
I'd go Home by the Lee in the Jack the Bromhead Christmas hurdle.
Yeah, I'll do a double in Limerick, Gaelic Warrior and Cletus Poolah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, lads, that's all from us. We'll have a preview for racing on the 29th as well that will be up in due course. But the very best of luck with whatever you decide to do, and we'll be talking to you in due course. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's Honeysuckle and Rachel